Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Paulie Eyes of Carbondale, the official coaches show of Saluki Athletics. Now, here is the voice of the Salukis, Luke Martin.
We welcome back to Inside Saluki Athletics, special game day edition for Saluki Baseball, SIUE. Later on tonight, Rhodes series with the Valpo Beacons this weekend. The final series of the regular season before the conference tournament next week. Well, it was a fun weekend at Itchy Jones Stadium this past weekend. Here to recap it all is head coach Lance Rhodes. We got a packed show as always, just now moved up here on a Tuesday before this weekend series goes Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Coach, records broken, games won, series won. There are a lot of reasons to smile on senior weekend for your team.
You know, just one of those weekends where as a coach you could just be super happy that you were in the dugout being a part of it. And that's the awesome thing about, you know, coaching these kids is that every single day you show up to the park and special things happen, and it's something that, you know, me as a head coach and I know our coaching staff, we don't take for granted that we get to see some just awesome things on a daily basis. And you know, we knew Shark was obviously chasing that record, but for him just to go off like he did on that weekend, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a weekend like that before. And you know, as locked in as you could ever imagine, and to be able to get the home run record at home, awesome, and just super happy for him. And you know, there's a lot of other records that are out there that we're close to getting to that, you know, hopefully we can play for a lot longer and chase some of those other ones down.
We'll get to Shark and his weekend, dive into that a little bit more to begin with. But when I caught up with you Saturday after game one, that was probably the most frustrated I've seen you in a while with your group. What didn't sit well with you just in how the game transpired on Friday? And, man, your senior leader, Matt Shark, really showed up to say he was making his game and what he was doing on the field speak volumes the rest of the weekend.
You know, it was one of those things where I just feel like it was maybe the biggest game of the year that we've played. And when the emotional side of the game just wasn't to where I thought we should have been, then that's kind of what was disappointing with it. And not necessarily that we lost. Obviously, the losing part of it stung a lot. But it's just how we lost the game. And you know, there's certain ways when you lose, like you can walk off the field and you just got beat, and you can live with yourself, and you come back the next day and you get back after it. And I just didn't like how we mentally, emotionally, however you want to describe it, attacked that first game. And I think that had a big, you know, reason why we did lose that game.
How much of an emphasis now, and I say emphasis, I mean, it's all, you always want to get off to good starts on a weekend, regardless of whether it's a Friday night, whenever it is, game one. You know how important, of course, it needs to be against Valpo, and more importantly, starting off a tournament is essential to stay on the winner's side of the bracket. How do you approach that with your team? What, I think now against a common opponent this year, 3-9 in game ones, but man, you're 20-5 in games 2 and 3. I mean, your group has shown the ability to respond well. It's just making sure that first step you take on a weekend is a more productive first step.
Yeah, and, you know, it's been a combination. I mean, it hasn't been like we've just pitched poorly or, you know, we haven't hit. Like, it's been, you know, we've pitched okay. Not great, but we've pitched okay. And we haven't really swung the bats great. I mean, it's been okay. I mean, we just playing some average baseball on the first games of the weekends. And, yeah, I mean, it's something as a coaching staff we're addressing with our guys, and it's a high priority over these next you know, this next series, and especially in the tournament. If we get off to a start, you know, like we did, and that's what we talked about after the Evansville weekend. In 2 weeks from now, if we do that again, we're going to be in the losers bracket. And you know, so I think the biggest thing is when you have issues on your team, whatever those issues are, you gotta talk about them. You got to bring them up. You can't hide from it. And you know, we just got to look ourselves in the mirror and figure out a way to overcome it. And I think the only way you can do it is if you know about it. You know about it, and you go after it and try to address it.
What was neat in the senior game on Sunday was, of course, Al Holguin pitched well again, but what was, to me, kind of the icing on the cake and the cherry on top of that was I think every base runner you had in the final inning when you were able to run rule Evansville was a senior that took part in their final home game of the weekend. That had one, to be able to do that, to put your guys in that spot, that's the tip of the cap to you, but to put them in there, and then guys like Justin Coyce, Caden Ellis, and all of them able to get the team over the hump to get what was an important 10-run rule win.
Yeah, and, you know, on that weekend, it's especially when you have as many seniors as we typically have, it's always hard to get them in one particular game. So I really try to put an emphasis on making sure that we get them in throughout the weekend. You know, a lot of times their family are in for the entirety of the weekend, and I just want to make sure that we do everything we can, and we were able to do that. Every single senior that's helped our program, that's helped us, whether it's on the field winning games, in the dugout with just great energy every single day, you know, being great people on and off the field, they deserve to get into the game. And, you know, we were able to do that. Everybody either touched the mound, touched the field, got a pinch hit, starts. And, you know, obviously we wish that there's always more that we could give them. And it's a hard balance when you play baseball with, you know, our limitations on substitutions and things like that. It's hard to make sure you get them as much playing time as you would love to be able to do it. But I am very happy that we were able to get everybody some game action.
That's why you're so stress-free all the time, especially on senior weekend. I look at you, and you got no stress at all.
Yeah, no. Well, whenever you're up by 10 and you can make some moves and things like that, that definitely helps.
No question, it does help. Let's talk about Shark a little bit more. I mean, just an unreal weekend for him. And, you know, I somewhat was casually joking with Kirk Champion on the air after he hit his second home run. He may just go for the record tonight, and my goodness, he almost did. He tied the record with 3 home runs in his first 3 at-bats. That ties, obviously, Saluki record for most home runs in a game. Look, not every time you're going up there to say, hey, I'm going to hit a home run. And Shark talked about that last week. I can't think about the record, or I'm not going to be in a good spot mentally. What have you seen from him, especially over the last week, that's allowed him to just be very free at the plate? And it's not like he is just pulling home runs. He's hitting opposite field home runs. He's using all aspects of the field.
Yeah, I mean, and I was a little concerned when he got to about 15 and kind of stalled out for just a second, and it was almost like, is he chasing it? And we kind of talked about that too, and Shark was right. I mean, if he just goes up there and has great at-bats, I mean, he was going to get the record. And the tough thing for Shark is you know, he hits in a park that isn't necessarily conducive to home runs. So it's even more impressive that he's able to do what he did, because he's hit, you know, probably 8 to 10 balls that's landed near the warning track this year that maybe in other parks would have gone over. But for him, I think now it's just maybe a sigh of relief. No matter what we say or do, when you've got a chance to do something like that, and hitting a home run is one of the hardest things to be able to do. But when you've got a chance, like, you want it. Like, you know, whether you're all about the team and he is, but every one of us as human beings, when you got a chance to be the home run king, like, you really want, and all of us wanted it for him. And now it's like, man, it's like hopefully he can just relax and let's add about 4 or 5 more on that thing, just pad that thing for a little bit.
My favorite part, I mean, there was everybody's emotion, but you're someone who's very stoic during games and don't really ever showcase whether it's a really big moment or a low moment. You really stay the same. But you made sure when Shark saw you when he was coming to the dugout, I don't think I've ever seen you with as big of a smile. How important was it for you in that moment to know, hey, I got to congratulate this dude? It's a pretty cool moment and a pretty awesome moment to do it on his senior day.
Yeah, you know, that's one of those things where he's just been through a lot.
Yeah.
And, you know, through the surgery and then the comeback. And honestly, for him just to be able to, like, come back to our program, like, it just, like, as a coach, you really appreciate that, right? I mean, Shark, especially nowadays with the transfer portal and things like that, I mean, he could have had options where he could have gone somewhere else. And for him to stick through it and come back here and do what he did, like, we wouldn't be the team this year without him. So as a coach, you just appreciate those type of things. You know, it's one of those things too. Like, I sent JT Weber a text message after the game and just said, hey, you know, proud of both of you guys. I mean, I've been a part of 3 guys actually that have broke the record now, and it never gets old. And you know, I hope it holds up for, as long as it can, but also, looking forward to the next guy to come through and potentially, set a new record. And it's just one of those things where it just it's awesome to see kids get rewarded for the work that they do, and there's no more guy more deserving than Shark because of all that he does for our program.
And what's crazy is for him, Robert Jones had a heck of a year with 70 RBI, which now, of course, Shark has tied his record. There's still so many games left for Shark. That speaks volumes, too, of the type of year that he's had. It's now some of that, of course, yes, is the multi-home runs that he gets, but that dude's been driving in runs more ways than just off of getting a home run.
Yeah, and I know the home run record is a lot more sexier, but I truly think that RBI record is a lot more impressive. And I think you can even look at the home run record over the last, 4 or 5 years has been broken now 3 different times. But if you look at that RBI record, the RBI record has stood for 30-plus years. So I think that goes to show you how hard that record is to break. And for him to be sitting just 1 RBI away from breaking that record, that just shows you, without him just knocking in all those runs for us, we are not the team, we're not the offense that we are without him just having just a remarkable season. And there's a lot of clutch gene that takes to be able to hit 70 RBIs. You've got to hit them with no outs, 1 out, 2 outs. When you're knocking in 70, you're knocking them in at all times. But there's also a lot of pressure whenever you've got, that many RBIs next to your name. The other coaching staff, the other pitchers, they aren't trying to let Shark beat you. They're throwing him the toughest pitches that they got. They're throwing him around the zone. And for him to be able to do what he's doing that's just insanely impressive.
John Lemm, too. His reach base streak continues to be up there in terms of longest in program history. One of, I think, only 3 players that do it in 20-plus games in terms of league play. Just you have talked about his approach at the plate. He knows that strike zone so well. Whatever way he can find a way to manufacture himself to get on, he's another guy that you kind of see, maybe he's just a long ball guy. No, he has a way to get on, and then his speed can really be kind of deceptive too. He's a much quicker guy than maybe what he can let on.
He's got a great eye for the plate, and he can run. Like, his body is big, so you kind of think that he's just going to be an okay runner, but he is. He's a very good athlete, and the great thing about John is that he does have ability to hit along with the ability to know the strike zone and can run and things like that. I don't think he's swung the bat as well as he wants to over the last probably 2 or 3 weeks. He's still finding a way to be productive. But it will be awesome for our team if he can get hot over these next 2 weeks. He can be a game changer when it comes to just one swing of the bat putting runs on the board.
There are kind of 2 guys I want to pinpoint before we move on to Valpo and of course SIUE tonight. Caleb Hall. Outstanding coming back, first week back, coming back from that dislocated big toe that he had against Indiana State. Look at his numbers. Hit almost 500 on the week out of his 6 hits. 4 of them went for extra bases, 3 doubles and a home run. He just looked the part all weekend, and he looked good running. To come back, what really tip of the cap to JC and Coach G and what they've done with him to get him ready. But then for him to seize the moment, sometimes you think it's going to take guys a while to get back in. Well, Caleb Hall showed it. He didn't really need much time at all to get back into a groove offensively.
Yeah, a lot of credit to our staff behind the scenes to get a guy back ready that, we didn't know if he was even going to play the rest of the season. And not only did he come back probably sooner than we expected, but he came back and he's playing a lot more freedom on the bases to run, a lot more freedom to potentially get in the outfield. Like, we didn't think that he was going to have some. We thought he was going to come back with some restrictions. So a lot of credit to our training staff there to be able to make that happen. But, a lot of credit to him too. Like, he didn't take a live at bat. He didn't take a live at bat off of our pitchers. Like, he literally took batting practice for a couple days. And as soon as JC said, hey, he can play, we threw him in the lineup against Edwardsville last Tuesday, and his first at-bat since Indiana State was that night. And so, yeah, a lot of credit to him to be able to just step, because it's not easy to step in the box after, I don't know if it was a month or whatever.
It was basically a full month. April 12th, I think, was his last game.
Right, and it's not – he made it look a lot easier than it is to be able to just step in there and be on time and hit and things like that. So, happy for him.
I don't want to describe the year as a frustration for Michael Milot. I know he probably wishes that his production was more consistent, but his timely hits in the game, I know it ends up being a 10-run mercy rule game where at the time – those hits maybe don't look as massive, but they were huge in the game because that was a back-and-forth game with Evansville. He gets the key 2 RBI hit to tie the game early, then another one to kind of extend the lead in the game. Those were massive, and I thought, man, great moment for Michael on his senior day, even though it's his own lone year in the program. Good to see him come through in some really clutch at-bats.
It was, and you know, what we're kind of envisioning, and I still don't think it's kind of got there yet, but it's just – all these guys like getting to the peak of their game at the right time. And maybe, you know, the Evansville weekend wasn't that like huge step forward that we were envisioning and hoping for, but it was a step forward. Hopefully this weekend, you know, starting tonight, Tuesday, going into Valpo, hopefully it just kind of starts trending upwards to where, you know, we're not just having 2, 3 hitters in the lineup that are going, but we're starting to get 4, 5, 6, and then over the weekend, you know, if we can get, you know, that 1 through 9 clicking and then go into the tournament, that's our goal. And, you know, we're trying to peak at the right time. And, you know, I still really like our offense. I really like our team. And I really do think that, you know, there ain't nobody wanting to play us. I can tell you that. So I'm excited to see, you know, our guys over the next couple of weeks where we can take this thing. Let's
look towards Valpo first later on this week. Coach Schmack, his team has really struggled this year. I know heading into this week they've lost their last 19. But, man, Lockwood has had a great year on the mound. And realistically, I know this fans may think I'm just overhyping the guy. He may be arguably the best pitcher in the league, just has been on a team this year that just hasn't been able to get over that hump. With him on the mound, Valpo can be a very dangerous team because of how well he can pitch. What you see of them of, look, you just can't get caught up in that record. There are still things that Valpo can do well.
Yeah, I mean, you look at every game that kid pitches in, they're in every single one of those games. And majority of the time, he's throwing 7, 8, or 9 innings. I mean, he's thrown multiple 9-inning games to where they've lost by a run or 2. So, you know, to think that you're just going to walk in there and sweep those guys is not necessarily just an easy thing to do. And we're going to have to go in there and, like you said, we're going to have to beat one of the best pitchers in our league. And it's also one of those, you know, situations where they're not making the tournament. They're, you know, they're going to go out there on the last weekend. This is the last time they're going to play this year. And, you know, sometimes there's a little bit of freedom with that, with the team, because they don't have anything to lose. They don't have anything to play for necessarily, but other than just go out and have fun and play ball and play it to the best of their ability. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get some of their best games that they have this year because of them just wanting to go out and end on a high note. And, you know, at the end of the day, we've just got to go out and play good baseball. And, you know, it's also going to be a little bit strategic when you get in this last weekend. We have to start setting up our pitching rotation for the conference tournament that's going to turn around and be on Wednesday. And, you know, so there's going to be times where we take a pitcher out purely just because we have to, not because of how the game's going, not because he's pitching bad or because he's pitching good. And, you know, we're going to need our entire pitching staff to touch the mound and throw well this weekend, which is sometimes a little challenging too because you're asking so many guys to perform well. But we have guys that are throwing well, that are capable. And, you know, we've got to go in and, you know, our goal is to, you know, sweep that weekend while getting prepared for the tournament and making sure we're ready for the tournament. So it is a challenging deal to be able to kind of navigate all that. But we'll, that's what we got to do.
Do that, and then the rest will take care of itself. No doubt still potential of the top 2 seeds, some scenarios where you could still share a conference championship, but most importantly, you got to take care of your business and just see where everything else goes. Tonight, SIUE, it's the last chance to be at home, and that's a great opportunity for anyone who's watching this here today. Get on out tonight, support your guys. It's the last home game of the year, of course, against SIUE, who you just saw a week ago.
Yeah, I mean, would love to have a good Tuesday crowd to finish this season off at home, and it's been an awesome season at home again, just like always. I mean, the support that we get's tremendous, and it's one of those things where we want to finish, with a win at home. We've had a good home season, but we don't want to walk away off our last game with a loss. So, we're going to do everything we can to win tonight and get some momentum going into the weekend, and yeah, it'd be awesome to have people out tonight.
Coach, appreciate the time. Good luck tonight, and excited to make the trip with you to Valpo this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate
Once
it.
again, that was head coach Lance Rhodes. When we come back, Al Holguin will join us. This is Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale.
Hey Matt, how you doing?
Hey Cade.
Hey Mom and Dad.
Just want you to know we're doing good. All the swings that you take, all the throws that you'll make, all the successes, all the failures, it'll all be worth it. Enjoy the moment and keep it going. You're doing great.
Took you 6 years, still in college, but I want you to know, continue to have fun. Realize that it's not a job, not to get too wrapped up in it. Definitely listen to your parents.
I just wanted to thank you for all the sacrifices you made. Enjoyed the game of baseball, and I just want to say I love you guys. Thank you.
Hey Alec, how's it going? Just wanted to let you know that no matter what, you just got to have as much fun as possible with baseball, because baseball doesn't last forever, but these memories will last a lifetime.
Hey buddy, time goes by quick. Your parents have made a lot of sacrifices for you. Truly thank them for all the advice and all the things they have done to contribute to your baseball career.
And make sure that you thank your parents for everything. Tell them you love them. Just do your best every single time you go out there.
Hey Mom, hey Dad.
Hey Blaine, how you doing? Some advice, all right, all I got to say is, just have fun, keep playing ball. Don't let anyone tell you, what you can and can't do. Don't let anyone take the joy away from the sport, and just keep doing what you love.
I know it's taken a lot and you've sacrificed a lot, and I just wanted to let you know how much I appreciate that. Love you.
Mom and Dad, keep giving them love, because they're going to support you no matter what you do, no matter what you go through, and they'll be there for you through the thick and thin. So, love you, man. Take care and have some fun.
Make sure you keep having fun. Enjoy the times with your friends, especially in the dugout. Make sure you enjoy your parents. They support you through everything. They've been there for you no matter what. Make sure you let them know how much you love them, and keep going at it. See ya.
Hey man, how's it going? Congrats, you made it. Keep enjoying it though. Keep loving the sport and doing what you do. Listen to your parents. They're great people, and trust them along the way. Have fun with your teammates and go do the thing.
Hey Mom, hey Dad. Just wanted to call and say thank you for everything you've done for me. All the time, the money you guys have sacrificed to be able to allow me to do what I've wanted to do my entire life.
Hey buddy, how's it going? Trying to let you know you finally made it. All those years of sacrifices and hard work finally paid off.
Thank you for raising me the way that you did, with a focus on the Lord. The fact that Jesus and doing everything for Him is truly what matters.
Sigue echando ganas. Para tu familia siempre darle las gracias por todo lo que han sido, por todo el dinero que han invertido en ti y por todos los sacrificios que han sido también por ti. Si no fuera por ellos, no fueras el jugador que eres hoy. Last but most importantly, keep glorifying His name and just living for His glory for everything that you do.
Love you so much. Can't wait to see you soon.
The seniors, an outstanding senior day, who's had not just a great senior day, it's been a really good last month for this guy. Al Holguin joins us as the Salukis get ready for SIUE later on tonight. Al, welcome. Congrats on the senior day dub. And
thank you.
Most importantly, what's the last month been like for you? Because you've really been in a really nice groove.
Yeah. I mean, on the field, it's been amazing. Obviously not going to complain one bit about it. Dogs are winning, which is the most important part, whether it's a good outing or bad outing for me personally. As long as we get a win in the win column, that's what it means to me. But yeah, just been trying to just soak it all up. You know, as you mentioned, senior day was just this past weekend, so it was something special to be able to just be with the family and even the teammates as well, which it was about a good number of us that were on the field celebrated, so it was just awesome overall.
Those days can be so emotional, Al,
Yeah.
and especially even more when you have to start on that day. When you're going through the ceremony, it's kind of halfway through the ceremony, you got to go, hey, I got to go get ready. I got to get ready to pitch, you know, so you kind of have to bail a little bit on your own senior ceremony. But how did you handle your emotions of just being there for your family? You want to soak in that moment, but also knowing, hey, I got to get ready for the top of the first here very quickly.
No, yeah. I mean, I think Coach Tribby said it best. It was weird compared to every other just start prep, but it was a good weird. Obviously, the ceremony, I was introduced first, so I can go warm up and whatnot. Halfway through my when I was playing catch, the mothers had to throw out the first pitch, and obviously there's no way I was going to miss that. You know, it was Mother's Day. I wanted to spend the moment with my mom. It was something special. So halfway through catch play, I had to run out to home plate, and then after that, I had to run back to the outfield to finish playing catch, and then just hop on the mound and then just go from there. And I think it was something different. Haven't really done it in the past, but it wasn't something difficult to overcome. It was definitely great to be able to just overcome all of that and just soak it all in, like I said.
We were able to spotlight you heading into the season in our podcast series with all the guys, and you talked a lot about your faith and how that's been such a huge part of your journey here, but just your journey in life. But for this season, not a ton of opportunities early. UT Martin comes along. You really kind of say, hey, I think I deserve an opportunity to be a part of this staff in some way. What has been the key for you, Al, of since that night, continuing to show up, continuing to be a really good teammate to everybody, and basically you've earned your spot a part of this pitching rotation?
Yeah, I mean, as you mentioned, it wasn't the ideal start for me in terms of the player perspective, I guess. But overall, I mean, I knew we had a good team coming into the season, so I knew that my role going into the season was going to be a little different than years past. But yeah, I think just the main key point for me was just staying true to my faith. Obviously, just whether it was a good outing or bad outing for me, I just wanted to glorify him through every pitch that I throw, and just being able to just keep that at the center of everything that I do was important. I think that's the main reason why I've just been able to just adjust to whatever my role has been.
Do you sense, this may be a really silly question, but now you've had so many outings this year, where do you feel different in a positive way of when you're on the mound this year compared to last year?
I think just health overall. I know going into the season last year I was struggling to just stay healthy. And, I mean, glory to God, up until this point, I haven't really been able to, or just been dealing with any health issues compared to last year. I know last year I had to sit out a couple of weeks, and this year it's just been great overall. So I think that's one key point where I've just been different since last year, just staying on top of recovery, staying on top of just being with JC in the training room, and he's the man. He does everything awesome. Whenever you need something, he's the go-to guy to just get you right to be back on the field as soon as possible. But, yeah, it's definitely, I'd say, the most important part that's been different.
Whatever role you would have had, I know you would have embraced. But to now really be in that role, I know there's only one weekend left here in the year before you get to the tournament, but you have been a tone setter for end of weekends. And even when you go back to Murray State, losing a heartbreaker in that first game of the doubleheader, you get some offensive support behind you, but you came out dealing. What do you like about that role specifically, Al, that whether it's been a great weekend to that point, you're trying to finish it off and make sure that high emotion stays, or I got to get this thing flipped. I got to get us in a position where we can win our first game of the weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it was a big weekend overall, and obviously getting swept is never ideal. But for me, being at the end of the weekend, it's kind of just forgetting what happened in the past two games and just focusing on that game itself. One thing that I think that I do really good, and can be a bad thing sometimes, is just having short-term memory. So obviously there are times where I come out of my outing and be like, I just forget what my stat line was, which stat line isn't important, but people will ask me, how'd you pitch today? I'm like, good. They're like, oh, how'd it go? I'm like, oh, about that. You know, I forget sometimes, but I think just having short-term memory about it, just obviously I believe we lost the first two games, and I could take that into consideration and just like, all right, hopefully we don't lose this game. I got to be on like my toes here, but whatnot. But I think just focusing on that game pitch by pitch and just obviously being the Saturday guy last year, it was a little more easier in terms of like, okay, well, we were either up 1 or we were down 1, so it was like, here's the even out the series or take the series. Whereas here it's just like we're just going to take it game by game, and whatever happens, happens, like I said. But obviously just focusing, like just pretending like it's a 0-0 series at that point.
You know, it's such a huge part of what you do, and you were kind of talking about your mindset of there are times where you do have traffic on the bases. Most of the time, it's not even by a hit. Sometimes it may be, all right, it may be a hit batter, it may be a walk. But what amazes me is you still have that calmness about you. There's not your anxiety level rises or you see a different demeanor with yourself. What allows you to be in that position, Al, where, you know, some of it can be self-inflicted where guys get on, but you don't really show it emotionally. You still find a way to work around it or trust your defense to turn a double play.
Just staying calm for the most part. I mean, I know that's a lot easier said than done, but I talk a lot to myself out there. You'll catch myself in prayer, even between the innings or even in pitches, just talking to God. So I think that's one thing that really helps me a lot. And I know a lot of pitchers go out there and just like start either cussing at themselves or just trying to like just talk so like heavily about themselves, or I'm just talking to myself like, all right, you got this, like just breathe and just let God take the wheel and just go from there, you know.
I hope you know I send you good vibes too.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Just through the headset to you. I'm like, let's go, Al. You know, making it a little bit stressful here, but we'll be all right. We'll get through it. To see a senior teammate in Matt Shark have the type of weekend that he had, you weren't pitching in the game, of course, where he starts off 3 for 3 with 3 home runs, but I know your vantage point. So take me through it of just, all right, first one obviously clobbers it, second one, but like when that third one was clearly on its way out, just like, what was your reaction? Just seeing, have you ever been a part of anything like that around baseball for you?
Compared to Matt Shark, no. I think he's one of one when it comes to this. And like you mentioned, that game, I think after the first one happened, I mean, it was pretty much expected. The second one happened, it's like, oh, he's going to have himself a day. Third one happened, I think everyone's jaw and the dugout just dropped. The hands went to their heads, or like just in unbelief. But it was awesome. For him to be able to break the record on Sunday, it was an unreal moment. It was something special, I know, for him and his family. But even as a teammate, it was just awesome to be able to experience. And Matt Shark's the type of guy that if he broke the record or he didn't, he was going to be the same person, you know. He can go 3 for 3 with 3 home runs or 0 for 3 for 3 strikeouts. He's the same guy. He's smiling. He makes sure he reassures you that he cares about you. He's just awesome to be around. He's the man.
And you were around last year, so you got to see him in some of his tough moments where he wasn't able to play. He was out for virtually all of last season, didn't get the opportunities. How much more does that make it, I don't want to say a treat, but for you, because you've seen him at his low, to now see him at ultimate high, what that means to you, just personally, to see a guy fight through so much and just within a year time, completely different feeling than what he was going through a year ago at this time.
It's amazing. Just being able to see him in full uniform, it's awesome. I know last year he was in a cast or in a sling for about half a year, but just being able to see him just in the box again at third base in a new position for him, just being able to adapt, it's great overall, especially from a pitching standpoint. Just being able to have someone in our offense that can just bring more assurance to our runs or our score like he does, it's amazing.
Looking towards this weekend, Alan, again, I know a game later on tonight against SAUE, but what you guys have done a really good job of is just taking it game by game, but no doubt responses throughout the weekend. What do you see as important for this team to start making that switch of getting off to a good start on a weekend? That's been the one bugaboo with the group this year, with the team, is against common opponents 3-9 in game ones. As you look throughout this week, how do you start flipping that? Because you know how important it is to start off a tournament in a positive way, which will be next week.
I mean, it's a big weekend. Obviously, you look at teams around the league, there's big weekends going on around the Valley. But for us specifically, I think just taking it game by game. The thing about baseball is that you never really know. One game we can come out swinging, the next game it's not the same, you know. But just taking it game by game, just not so focusing on the tournament just yet. I know we're all excited to get going here this upcoming Tuesday, this upcoming week. But for Valpo, just being able to take it inning by inning, game by game, and just focus on that part, trying to win one game at a time, I think it's where would be a good start for us.
Well, there's a lot of accolades I mentioned for you, Al Holguin, but number one, because we got to rib this person, Abby Harris, who does so much for the program. I mean, she does a great job in terms of a lot of the social media, where a lot of the photos that our fans see come through her lens. But I mean, you're a favorite. I mean, you're number one on her, BFF list, whatever you want to say. Unfortunately, there's some others around here that are very low on that list. But I just want to say, you deserve to be high on that list, but I'm a little disappointed in Abby.
We're going to have to talk to her about that. I feel like that list is a little rigged.
Yeah, no doubt. I think it's a little rigged too. But you know what? When you see the smile of Al Holguin, how can that not be?
Can't forget about Luke Martin in the press box,
Yeah, there's a lot of people that do. And that's okay. That's okay, Al Holguin. Al, congrats on the year to this point, man. There's no doubt more fun to be had. Let's have fun tonight first, then we'll hit the road to Valpo this weekend.
Amen. Let's do it.
Once again, that was Al Holguin. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, John Lemm will join us. Man, we were able to have this guy on our podcast series earlier this year. Now we get to see him on our coaches show. And it's John Lemm, a Brisbane, Australian native. Family in town right now, so they get a chance to see John play. And of course, the Salukis trying to stay hot here down the stretch.
Yes, sir.
John, appreciate the time, man. Welcome.
Appreciate you having me, Luke. Thank you.
This year for you, how would you describe it? What's the year been like so far?
It's definitely been a change. Starting off at UTRGV, not too hot. Just getting the experience under the belt and getting the nerves out of the way, just realizing that it's just another game, just another series, but obviously everything coming at a price as well. If you don't succeed at the beginning, like they're gonna try and get new guys to help the team win, but it's been a fun experience. Definitely enjoyed the new experiences, new places, obviously how the coaching staff, Worlds, and all the teammates.
You have been such a huge part of this group in so many ways, and you've become a mainstay behind the plate. You, of course, with your bat, but just find a way to reach base. We have spotlighted as well. We'll get to all of that. But within the course of this year, what are you most proud about, John, and where you've improved from all the way back? You talked about against UTRGV to now. It's a lot of baseball in between now and then. Where have you improved the most?
I feel like I've definitely improved plate discipline. In the first few weeks, I was definitely trying to do too much and just basically chasing outside the zone. Not trying to hit home runs or just not trying to force anything to prove that I should be a mainstay in the lineup. That was definitely the biggest thing for me, just trying not to force anything, just let myself do the talking for me, basically. Just trying to stay within myself and produce when I'm able to.
Now, when you talk about plate discipline, of course, you catch most of the games. So you get a really good feel early or even regardless of games of where that strike zone is for the umpire that day. But when you talk about, hey, improving yourself when you're at the plate, what have you done to improve that plate discipline within a year?
I think for me, I've always kind of known the strike zone pretty well. Back home, we've had a few professional umpires that have helped me, especially catching club ball, or just being around them during the professional season, just by helping out. So basically, I've had a good outline and our understanding of it. It's just obviously every umpire is different. Some people call the shadow zone, which is I don't know the exact width or diameter of the actual zone, but everyone calls different. If they're going to call it tight or if they're going to expand it. So basically just understanding what that umpire is that day and what they're perceiving a call. Yesterday, I think it was David who he was calling the low and outside pitch and the high pitch all game. But my first two pitches when I was pinch hitting, I didn't really think that was strikes, but just understanding and not letting it get to you is definitely a big part. Okay, you threw strike one, that's probably not a strike, but you still have to throw two more.
How important sometimes is that walk you do around the back of the battery where either it's, all right, let me just reset myself a little bit or retool, but that's been a motion that's been something I've described a lot that you've done throughout the year.
It's definitely something that I'm more speaking to myself. I walk around, I just say, okay, that's strike one. Just take a breathe off. It's when I foul off a ball too, just just walk behind, definitely ask the umpire if it, like, where he had that. That's one of the big things for me, so it doesn't look like I'm showing him up or anything. Just asking, like, what he had on that, where it was, if he's giving any more out there. But it's really just a breather for me, basically, in a sense.
No doubt. When you think of your catching ability, where has that grown this year for you in terms of your defensive prowess on that side?
I feel like everywhere's improved. J-Ry has done such a great job with us catchers, especially coming into the fall. I had no idea what I was doing, basically, like with all the new, obviously, one knee down stuff, blocking from that stance, receiving from that stance, or just like even knowing the pitches, like how they are mentally on the mound and like how big of a presence like the catcher needs to be, being vocal and everything, basically. Like J-Ry's helped out a ton with that. Like he gives us reports after the game. Like for me, I've kept them all in my locker just to keep going through, seeing like how much better I was getting. But yeah, he's been one big help for especially the receiving part. We would bash that in every single day, and we still kind of do. Just working on the stuff that not the best at. So for me, it's really just like an arm side slider from, I know you had him just before, Al Holguin, like just getting under that ball and trying to bring it back. But that's the one area that's still getting improved, but everything else has been so much better.
I'll tell you what, the one thing I can always count on, John Lemm, is whenever we do our shows, anything we put out, the Lemm family is always watching. I always see them commenting, always seeing them sharing the content throughout the year. As you told me over the weekend, they have the opportunity to be here really towards the early parts of June. What it means to have them here and now to have just make those games a little bit more special. They'll be, of course, at SIUE tonight. They'll be at Valpo this weekend and the conference tournament to come in Bloomington Normal.
It's definitely like, so before this Christmas break, I didn't go home for nearly 2 years. It was about a year and 7 to 8 months. So that was a really big struggle and transition for me. Definitely made some new families and new camaraderies throughout that time. But obviously nothing's like family. So just having my sister, having my dad and my mum here means the world to me. Just them being able to see what I've become and just what they haven't been able to see, like how I live, basically what the city was like, how the fans are like, how everyone's like, especially the coaches, because obviously they have to put a lot of trust into the coaches, and just them being able to meet, and like my mum said thank you to every single one of them after Sunday's game. It's a big deal for me and them to be able to come over here.
When you think of now 22 consecutive league games you've been able to reach base safely, I think on the year it's now 29 overall when you think of your non-con or teams in the midweek and, of course, on a weekend. You've said, hey, I've really had to work on my plate discipline. The numbers no doubt have shown that, John. What do you have to keep doing? Like, what is something that you have latched onto that's really allowed you to be just so dialed in?
It's really just taking it one AB at a time. Lately, I've been kind of letting – sorry, pardon me. I've just been letting my timing disrupt me a little bit. So basically, I'm just missing the pitches that I should be able to handle like I was in the earlier parts to the middle parts of the season. So me and Coach Mack and J-Ry have been working on that a lot lately. But me being able to fight off pitches and be able to keep a good eye at the plate has also been just a big deal. Just I don't care if it's 2 outs. Like, I'm not the quickest, but I will say that I can steal a bag into scoring position. So I'm just trying to do whatever helps to get a run on the board for the team, or whatever helps to get a win for the team.
At times this year, lefties have given not just you, but also guys on the team some issues. But those numbers are flipping now later in the year, John. What can you attribute to that, at least for you personally, that's really improved your attack, you being a lefty, of course, at the plate, to really just see the lefty arm slot a little bit better?
It was really just I was in a mindset at the beginning of the year. Like, I brought it over from JUCO, which I shouldn't have, but I brought over just a mentality at the plate, like, all right, see a slider, bang it. So I really wasn't attacking that fastball. So basically, me, Coach Mack, it was basically like, it's kind of flipped the script on that. Just change your mindset, like, see fastball, see breaking ball at your hip. So basically, it's just reactionary, but you want to hit a heater. And that's been helping tremendously. Haven't really been chasing the sliders down. Like I know on Friday night or Saturday afternoon I did that one time, but that man's metrics was weird. Like he threw like 45% fastballs and he threw one fastball and then everything else off speed to all the lefties, and it was definitely hard to go back to that mentality because you've had success on your new like mental approach at the plate, and then it's just like, oh crap, you have to flip the switch again.
You talked about, of course, metrics. There are so many numbers and data that all of you have to get you prepared for a game. What have you found out to be the good balance? And balance may be the wrong term to use, but what do you find of, all right, this is enough information for me. I know if I look at this, this is going to give me a good idea to where you don't get so caught up and you dig so far into the weeds on all the numbers.
So, like, I know, especially at the beginning of the year, I was struggling. Like, I was really diving into, what percentages they throw and what counts, where they throw, what's their tendencies. But lately, I've really just been focusing on basically what do they throw, what quadrant of the plate do they throw on, and how many times, what's their out pitch, really. So basically, that's really just been the key figures for me. I know a lot of the guys, they don't like hearing any of the figures. They just want to know what he throws and how hard he throws. But personally, I still like to elaborate a little bit on what they do and see if I can beat them at their own game kind of a little bit. But I know that tends to make struggles, but it also can tend to work out a little bit.
No doubt. And one thing that's been an odd thing about this team this year, John, has been, man, late in series and on weekends when you guys either need to respond to salvage a game or to go win a series after losing on a Friday. You've done that time and time again throughout the year. But, man, just the odd thing, just getting off to a good start has been a struggle for this group. Any reason for that from a player who's there day-to-day of what needs to change, because you know that formula can't keep happening, especially once you get to the conference tournament?
I wouldn't say something has to change. It's really just a lot of the guys, if our 1 through 4 batters don't get on, it's kind of the energy's kind of down. So I know on Friday night when Shark got on base and I drove him in, the energy was up in the dugout and everyone was up. Obviously we weren't able to execute any more runs, but the energy was up. It's really just the lineup 1 through 9, the first time through the order, just setting themselves up for success and just letting the guy behind you just follow you up. That's what Coach Mack has harped on. Just make the guy behind you's job easier. So basically that's just what we've been trying to preach. I know it's still a little bit frustrating for I know some Saluki fans and the coach Rhodes a little bit, but it definitely does bring a different spark to our games.
But in saying all of that, the response level the rest of the weekend shows the type of heart, the determination that this group has. Again, 10-2 in game twos. I think it would be whatever it is now, 10-3 in game threes of series. That's really hard to do. Yeah. I mean, as much as everyone wants to pinpoint to starts, and we understand how important starts are, what's about this DNA makeup with this team specifically that you believe leads to that, and that you guys are going to respond, you're going to show up, and you're going to be ready to go regardless of what situation you're in?
We don't care how many outs we have left. We trust everyone that's going up to the plate. 1 through 9, we definitely have a really good dynamic duo, group of just ball players and hitters. They want to grind their at-bats. They want to get on base. Nobody wants to be the last out. That's definitely a big thing for us. Nobody wants to be the last out because they don't want the person behind them just being on deck oh, what could have been. So that's definitely been a big thing for us, just passing it on to the next guy. That's the biggest key for us right now.
Last weekend of the regular season to set up, of course, SIUE later on tonight. Just what's important in this last week for you guys, John, of how you still take that game-by-game approach to really set up for the ultimate game-by-game, which is a tournament situation?
Yeah, so obviously it starts off with SIUE tonight. We want to get off to a hot start. They throw the same guys every Tuesday. They have the same pitching staff for a midweek game they have for the whole season. So we've seen these guys. We know what we can do. I know last week we kind of let the run, we kind of stranded a lot of base runners on, and we're trying to do better with that part. But I know with Valpo, we know that's a really important series, especially for how the last series have turned out with Murray State versus Mo State. So we know, like, those 3 games, we need to lock in for all those 3 and try and definitely get into the second spot. So it's definitely huge for us, and we're just really trying to bring fire to the dugout and just go from the first pitch.
Well, the guy who always brings the fire is John Lemm. You always bring the fire. John, appreciate the time coming on the show. Good luck tonight against SIUE, and look forward to making the trip with you guys to Valpo this weekend.
Thank you, Luke. Thank you for having me on.
We'll be right back. That was John Lemm. Connor Dailey joins us next. So great to have this guy on the show. Finally get everybody on the staff for head coach Lance Rhodes on. Got to save that best one for last, not just here on the show, but Connor.
Don't fire me up, man. Don't fire me up.
I'm just trying to make it, some interesting conversations in that coaching clubhouse when you go back. Saving you for the last one. But Coach Dailey, thanks so much for the time, man. It's good to have you on the show.
Man. Hey, I've been waiting. I'm excited.
I know. No, it's great to have you on. It's always great to have you on, especially when there is a lot to play for here within the last week of the season. This was a group that had high expectations coming in. What has this group done to put themselves in a position where getting to a top 2 spot in the conference tournament, I know was a goal. I know the ultimate goal was the number 1 spot, but there's still a chance to get into the top 2.
And I think, Coach Mack touched on it a couple weeks ago. All you can really hope for in May is a chance to be playing in meaningful baseball games, especially to win a league. And we've put ourselves in a chance the last weekend where you have the biggest thing to play for. And I think we ended up there being tough. And it can get questioned at times, but when you think about all that we've really actually had to go through this year, whether it be weather, and granted everybody's dealt with that, but doubleheaders. Luckily, we have a bunch of JUCO products that are built for a doubleheader lifestyle. But you got that on top of from Sprawling, who we all desperately miss, or Husky, just injuries in general, and guys like Caleb Hall bouncing back and coming back strong. Noog's coming back. He hasn't been necessarily himself, but he still gives us meaningful innings. I just think the team's tough, and they also love each other. You've been around them. It's a special group of dudes. It's hard not to. It's very infectious in that room.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. I know you spent obviously the majority of your time with the pitching staff with Coach Tribby, but one area that for some reason has just been interesting, I think, this year is that not all of game ones of a weekend have necessarily looked the same.
Absolutely.
There's been no doubt some competitive games that could have easily flipped it, but against common opponents this year, 3-9 in those 12 games against common opponents on a Friday. What do you see from a pitching side of that you work with those guys each and every day of, hey, this is where we have to do a better job on a Friday night to help set the tone? It's not always been on the pitching staff for that, but those areas of, hey, we need to try to set a tone quicker on a weekend.
Well, I think part of it is we don't need to be hit in the face to have to hit back. You need to come out swinging, I think, is one of those things. And obviously it sounds cliche and you can say it, but I think it turns into one of those things where you put pressure on yourself to okay, we have to turn this into something that ultimately it's not. It's just another game on a weekend that we've turned into a different game, when it's really just another set of a collective 3, and we look just fine in those other 2. And it's interesting because how do you put a point on exactly what that is? It's hard to say. Is it a Friday? The point is conversation starts. And when it becomes a conversation, it turns into something that it really never needed to be. And I think I think one thing that's been good about it is that we have responded repetitively, pretty much every time, which I think is big. But at the same time, when it comes tourney time, game 1, when we're out there, we got to be ready to go. And I think they will be. The faith doesn't, really waver. I still believe that we can come out and punch in game 1. Yeah. But I would like to see it happen.
No question. And, Alec Niggett had such a great start to this year.
Absolutely.
And even throughout the last month where maybe it hasn't translated on a game day, when you're around his BP sessions in practice, been around one of them, his energy level is really good. Your guys' chemistry, everything is really high. What now is just important of trying to get that to carry over for him and almost like it does carry over. It's just when maybe that one little thing gets tweaked in a game to not let that snowball.
And I think that snowball is a good way of putting it, or getting sped up. There's a lot of ways to put it. And, Alec's very open about stuff. Like, he's not – there's no hiding from it. You know, it hasn't gone exactly how – and all of it starts with getting smoked in the hand by a line drive, having to overcome some stuff, maybe overcompensate to make other things better, you know, whatever it looks like. But Alec puts a lot of pressure on himself that I think he doesn't necessarily voice. That's the one thing I'd say he keeps close, is it's like, okay, it is Friday night, and I was really good. And, like, you're trying to get back to something where it's just, you know, kind of being in the now. And it's hard when before was really good and now doesn't feel as good as that did.
Yeah.
But I do think there's still confidence in there. And there's obviously, like you just said, the ability is there. It's not really a physical thing. I think it's just going to take that 1-2 innings where it clicks, and we're going to see him be, you know, him. I want that for him. I know we all do. Because the one thing you can say about him is, you know, regardless of how it's going, his energy is felt in the dugout. He's a positive guy, hard not to love.
Yeah.
He knows how to lead in his own way without trying to be somebody that he's not.
Absolutely. Before we get back to the guys, let's talk about your path.
Okay.
Of course, here, I believe, second year here
Yes,
in
sir.
Carbondale, part of this coaching staff. How'd you get here? What's really been your biggest career path for Saluki Nation that hasn't been able to follow you, of the places you've been, the stops you've had, and what you've enjoyed most now being here on staff with Coach Rhodes for your second year?
Well, you know, I think it's not necessarily – I don't think anybody has a traditional road anywhere. What does that necessarily mean? But I started out in coaching junior college in North Carolina, where my brother actually played junior college. My sister was actually on the volleyball team there, so it's a family ordeal
Wow.
at Catawba Valley, so shout out to the Valley for sure. A different valley,
Yeah,
but
different
started
valley.
in a valley nonetheless. And it's a great place in Hickory, North Carolina. It was the same city that I went to college in at Lenoir-Rhyne, so like I had connections already. I was able to just kind of work very freely. Like Paul Roselle, my first boss, gave me a lot of freedom to kind of learn through failing. Like I was very open about the fact that I didn't know everything. I knew the game that I had been around, and I was excited to learn more. And we had a good program. Like, we were winning a lot of baseball games. I got to be around good players, and then got the opportunity. I coached in summer ball along the way in the CPL in Forest City, in my hometown. Got to be the head coach there, and then within the same couple months, got the job, or the GA job at Southeastern in Lakeland, Florida, at a powerhouse in AIA, which is the place I never thought I'd be at, you know. But my cousin had a connection down there. He's working with the Yankees, Dylan Lawson. And he's like, dude, apply to this. Like, this place is real. And Dinkle, the head coach, who's probably going to be my mentor for as long as I'll be in this, is a no-brainer. You know, he's like, that's the guy you want to be around. I got down there. He gave me the reins to the pitching staff, even though I was doing my master's. Like, on paper, I was a GA, but he put a lot of trust in me early, and it was definitely appreciated, and my confidence grew because it was new scenery. I didn't know anybody. They didn't know anything about me as a baseball person. Like, what can you bring to the table right now?
Yeah.
Because we're already good. I wasn't going down there to change anything. You know, like, this, clearly whatever's going on works. How can I make it better? Where can the impact be felt? You know, whatever it is. Because the guys were 2 years younger than me when I got down there. We had a lot of 24, 25-year-olds, but talented guys. And, you know, I think being around winning and winning a national championship that first year is obviously a lot of fun, but you learn a lot about how to, you know, because, like, even though you're winning a lot of games, there's still ebbs and flows. Like, there were nights where he was pissed because, on a game we won because, you know, we won more often than not, but you're better than a lot of people. At that level, we were talented. And winning really wasn't enough. Like, it has to look a certain way. It's just expectation and what that culture looks like, and being able to carry that as an extension of yourself, you know, wherever you go next. And my cousin Dylan, that's ultimately how I end up here. You know, I'm on a really good team, really good staff. It helps you look good, obviously, even though you know you're a part of something. It's not just me by any means. There's a lot of people doing a lot of things well. And Dylan and Lance, my cousin Dylan and Lance, kind of came up together coaching. SEMO, they had a really good run there. And then they went to Mizzou together. And then Dylan ultimately went the pro ball route, and then Lance comes here. But oddly enough, and it's funny, they have a text about me when I was in high school as a player. I guess Lance was somewhere else, talking about me being a slightly above average pitcher probably. But, you know, it was funny because that text is from, you know, 2013. And the next text they sent that had anything to do with me was about me coming here. And that's ultimately it, because I could sit here and take a bunch of credit for it, but I really can't. Like, right place, right time. They needed somebody for ultimately what I wanted to do. And I had a good connection. And I was, you know, lucky enough that I had good conversations with Lance and hit it off with Tribby immediately. Excuse me. Obviously, you know Tribby. We hit it off from day one. And it's been pretty easy for us to work together. And I know that he likes having somebody to bounce things off of, as do I. Anytime you can do a job where the goal is collective, you think similarly. And it's just better than having just yourself. It really is. And we enjoy it, and we have a lot of fun doing it, which obviously helps. And I think that's been just a blessing, because even though before I've never coached with other people my age. It's mostly been with guys older than me. We're lucky to be our age and be in our position. And I do feel like we're really good at our jobs. And, you know, it's just a very, very fortunate situation for us to be, you know, the group that we are, and, you know, our coaching staff. It's a fun group to be around, and it's nice.
What allows Coach Tribby specifically to, be whatever, a mentor to you still, to teach you things, to help you grow as a coach, but to also have that ability and that humble ability to be able to seek, hey, what are ways where we can improve, and have the ability to trust you to be able to do it? Because that's not always the case wherever you go.
Absolutely
What is it about him that allows him to really have that free flow of communication where you both have that respect for one another?
Right, and I think your point is important to include when you start. It's not like that everywhere, and you got to appreciate it when you have it. And like, our egos don't really get in the way much. From day one, he was very open about the fact that he wanted it to be collective. Like, I want your ideas to come in here. I want me and you to make this what we both believe that it can be and should be. And I mean, he was open to everything I had to say from the beginning. Like, is there constructive conversation? Obviously, that's what any intelligent conversation sounds like to begin with, especially when you're building something. And we listen to each other. That's really what it comes down to. And luckily, we agree more often than not. But, you know, when we don't, it's never really a big issue. And like you said, because of the respect factors there, like, we both respect what each other do. And again, like, we're on the same page. We know what we want. We care about the guys. And I think that at the center of it makes it very easy, is that he and I are both definitely player first. And we care about the guys on a very genuine level. And it makes it easy for us to roll together, because it's like, bro, we know why we're here. We know that we love what we do, and we love each other. So it makes it pretty easy.
Well, and you ever have a disagreement, just say, Tribby, I'll take you fishing.
Yeah,
like,
right.
You know,
let's get on the course. Dog leg right. We all know the deal.
I mean, like, come on. Like,
Exactly.
You know how to overcome that.
And you know how he and I are, and we have I've enjoyed it, man. More than like it needs to be said, and I'd like to think that he'd say the same thing. But we've had a lot of fun, and the 2 years have flown by pretty fast. It feels like I've just got here, but also feels like we've been working together, you know, for a long time.
Where, not just, you know, speaking about you, but where do you believe the pitching staff, from your first year here to now, having that continuity with Tribby, where have you seen that paid off more this year, where it's not just the communication between both of you guys had a great relationship last year,
right?
But where it's really started to, your staff, the pitchers, have really started to embody what you guys have preached to them really every day?
Well, I think especially when we've been at our best, it's collective confidence. Where last year, you know, and this is not a knock on anybody, but we we knew who we were going to have to rely on. And not that we don't have our guys that have stepped up in bigger spots than others this year, but it's really been a lot of guys filling in a lot of roles, from Al stepping up big and having a huge second half to, you know, like, Meade goes down, Jackson Payne goes from, like, Jackson Payne's done everything for us. Like, and if you think about it, there isn't really a role that he hadn't had to fill, and is that what it looked like for him when he got here? Maybe not, but he stepped up and done everything that's been asked of him, and then some. And when I think that's really what it comes down to for Tribby and I, is that they're very bought into the goal. It ain't about, you know, necessarily what I'm personally doing or what it personally has a title on, but, like, I'm going out and I'm getting my zeros. And we, you know, when we had a little bit of not even a little bit, but we had a couple weeks where it just wasn't very good. And it was like, dude, like, at some point this has turned into something that it doesn't need to be. like you have put pressure where it's not necessary. Faith hasn't gone anywhere in the building. Like, we all still believe that you guys are good. We've seen you be good. For a majority of the year, y'all been good. Go get the next 0. Doesn't mean we have to go out here and blank somebody for 9 innings. Let's go get the first 0.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it was a lot of times it was early in the game. Or just coming out of the bullpen and you walk that leadoff guy, which has been a pain for us. And then the next thing you know, you're in the zone. Again, not a physical thing, brother. Let's go in there and be the aggressor from day one or from the very first pitch, whatever it looks like. And when we're like that, they have a chance to, like, they're really effective when we're in the zone and we're being the aggressor, not kind of, nibbling around what at the end of the day is one-on-one, you versus that guy.
And to piggyback off of that, you think of guys even like Tanner Gertis.
Absolutely.
Matt Irvine, I think 3 times this year he struck out the side when he's come into games.
When Irv's on, it's lights out.
So there are – depth is always can be somewhat an over-talked term, an overused term, but it's needed, and everyone knows the importance of having depth on your staff. Even though there's been injuries, there's guys that have been sliding around. It does appear this year, Coach Dailey, that this group, there are more, I guess, versatile guys. There's a lot of guys who can fill many different roles if you need them.
And, like we talk about the path, like how I got here, but like you go around places and you want to learn how to win, but how to win on bigger stages, and like that comes down to a tournament and what that looks like. And I know for a fact you have to have that depth to win a tournament. And we all know that, but like when guys are just even when there's nights, some nights you're off, whatever, but like when we're rolling and you see that there's multiple guys that can contribute, you start thinking about, especially as a coach, like what's that bigger picture look like when we're running a full week trying to run this thing to a tournament championship. We're going to need all of those guys. And, if they're confident right now, which I know that they are, and we're rolling that way going into it, I feel good about it. And I think we all should, because there's a lot of ability on that mound. And it doesn't have to come from one place, and I think that's big. Because you don't want to see one guy not get it done tonight, and it's like, oh, dude, now what? We aren't in that situation, I don't think, which is good.
How much, or I shouldn't say how much, how the importance of guys like John Lemm and Mason Schwalbach in terms of how they, of course, are right there with whoever's out there on the mound, but the improvement those guys have made throughout the year.
And like I talk about it from the first day of fall, and Jake Ryan, who is our catching guy, is as good as anybody in the business when it comes to that stuff. And that his energy is reflected through the catchers, and that not to mention they're good guys in their own regard. But when you have those two things together, it's a good catching group. And like I want to Tate Lewis and Michael Quick as well. Like we're never really looking for them. They're there when we need them, and they're very like not just encouraging, because being encouraging is one thing. Hey, good job, dude, but also constructive. Like I see this or whatnot. Like they've gotten to where they've learned our guys, which helps a ton. Because from day one, I'm big on that relationship, just because I know it matters. And 2, you're down here. You're an extension of the bullpen. You're down here just as much as we are when it comes to time on the mound. And there has to be a trust there. And there's a lot of good conversation, not just like coaches, but like our players have really good, constructive conversations about stuff down there. And Mason and John are both great about it. John is you just had John on, but John's brain will go on a whirl. But John's a smart dude, man, and so is Mason. Like they both have a really high feel for the game. And when you have that behind the plate, getting taught by a guy, Jake, who has high feel, it translates. And they, like, I mean, just the other week, I think it was like even little stuff in game, John will see something, the guy's made an adjustment as the game's gone, he's more on the plate, we've been throwing him in, now we're not, But you have to be locked in to notice stuff like that. And like, I appreciate it just because I think that is bigger than just going through the ebbs and flows of a season. Like we're at game, whatever we're at now, I don't really count 40-something. And you're still like you are very much still in this. Yeah. And like really all you can ask is that they stay in the fight. And I think they're beyond that. They're not just in the fight, but they're there to win the fight. And they're very much, they care about what's going on. You have to care to notice little stuff like that.
Game 52 tonight, by the way.
Boom.
There you go.
Hey, man, one day at a time over here, man. You know me. It's a great day to be great.
It's a great day to be great, and that's always a great mindset. Well, speaking of being great, SAUE tonight, Valpo this weekend. You never want to overstate one week or the other, but it is the final week before you go to the conference tournament. How much of a challenge it can be, and I say a challenge, it's everybody's got to deal with it, of You know how important this last week is. You got to attack and you got to win these games.
Absolutely.
But also you want to set yourself up for a productive tournament.
Right.
How you and Coach Tribby, not necessarily the details of it, but how you all approach it with your staff of just making sure everybody's aware of what the game plan has to be successful this week, because it is different than most weeks throughout the year.
I think first off, like you said, it's different. And that needs to be transparent. And we've definitely made it like the initiative to be more transparent with them just about how we're going to do this so that they can all be prepared in the best way possible. And I think that's the second part of the conversation is everybody needs to be prepared to do whatever we need to do to get through these games. And it doesn't mean like get through in the sense of, hey, we're just like trying to pass time here, like go out and be the aggressor in these 4 games and find a way to win all 4 of them. And that goes one at a time, just like we just said. And, you know, it starts tonight. But it's going to be a lot of guys coming out and just, again, like we got to get zeros. Just get zeros, stack them, and when we look up, we'll be happy with where we are. But, you know, it starts turning into like, where are we going to get these 6 innings? You know, it turns into a different, even for us, versus like, okay, we got these guys for 2, this guy for 2, you know, whatever it looks like. But like guys going out there, get your job done, move on. Get your job done, move on. And just passing the torch. And we'll be ready to go. And we'll make sure they're prepared.
Final home game tonight, 6 o'clock. Hope Saluki Nation can come out and join us tonight. Should be a great night for baseball.
We at the itch.
We at the itch. Yes, that's always the. But unfortunately, I don't have the cool hats.
Yeah, Abby, we're going to have to talk to Abby.
I mean, you know, typically when you get cool stuff like that, you like sharing the love around.
Yeah, she's kind of safeguarding.
She's very safeguarding.
We'll have a conversation.
We will have a conversation about that. Coach Dailey, you know how much I appreciate you.
Absolutely,
thank you so much for coming
you.
on the show, and good luck tonight and this weekend. Excited to be with you guys the rest of the way. Let's make this a lot of fun.
Man. No doubt. Go Dogs.
Once again, that was Coach Connor Dailey. Join us here on Inside Saluki Athletics. Again, we will see you tonight at Itchy Jones Stadium, everybody. First pitch at 6 o'clock. Our pregame coverage will begin at 5:50 on Saluki Radio. This has been Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale.
This has been Inside Saluki Athletics, presented by Poly Eyes of Carbondale. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Saluki Sports Network.